Hi, this is Bobby Ryan of the Detroit Red Wings, and you are listening to Empty Betters with Nick, Mac, and Harrison.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 84 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes. I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Nick Manella. How we doing, buddy?
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
It's just a nice rainy morning here in Baltimore on a Tuesday morning after, predicting overtime last night in Game 5 of Isles Tampa. And
How'd that go?
I went really well. It was a close game. Triple overtime. The Islanders hung in there, but Tampa just squeaked out the win. So
Yeah, it was a real nail biter. It was basically a coin flip last night. Let's be real.
Yeah, exactly. So, I would expect that the Islanders are just dead and they're going to fold, and Game 6 will go horribly, and that's that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just so. It was so weird, and we'll get into all of that. But it was so uncharacteristic of that series.
Yeah, agreed. But no, I'm doing good. It's big week for our podcast. I would say
It is a big week for our podcast. Got some exciting stuff in the works.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about that a little later on, or maybe we'll touch on it next week. I'm not so sure yet. We are without Mac today. Mac is going to be traveling back to Milwaukee from Baltimore. He was in town over the weekend visiting family and stuff, so he's going to be out of commission for today. So it's just going to be me and Mr. Manella.
Yep.
Nick, I have a question for you. Actually, you have a question for me that I'm going to ask you first because I don't know the answer for me.
Sure.
New segment, aka just a little banter at the start. Question of the day. If there was an Olympic event for something dumb/useless that you could win a gold medal at, what would it be?
So I actually have two, and it's really one, but they sort of kind of correlate. So
Drinking?
Well, no.
Oh.
That's, I just assume that there's some like underground beer fest competition out there. So I wouldn't call that an Olympic event, but
fair.
I was a competitive swimmer growing up, and I was a teenager at one point. So that means I'm getting up early and I'm coming home really, really late. So a lot of the times you're sneaking around the house or you're trying not to wake people up in the house. And I'm really, really good at like microwaving something for breakfast, like turning around and multitasking, and then without even having to think about it, stopping the microwave with like a second left so it doesn't beep.
Oh, you know what? I do that too. I hate that shit.
Yeah. And and I don't know why, maybe it's just like a really good internal clock or something, but it extends to watching sports, where if I'm watching a game and it's halftime, intermission, whatever, I'll flip away from it and go to something else. And I'll know in my head when it's time to go back, like right when they're resuming play, when all the fluff and bullshit is done. So if I had to pick one, I would pick one of those two.
I wouldn't classify that second one as useless.
Oh, it's pretty incredible.
It's pretty important.
Yeah.
For me, kind of tying into what you just did, I don't know why I think I still live in the 1700s. I'm really mastered at when you are switching channels, a normal person hits the last button or types in the channel that they want to go to. Not me. It's guide and then up and down arrow no matter what. And I'm really good at holding down the arrow until the exact moment that it hits the channel that I need it to be.
And then you let go and it's there perfectly.
Yes.
Wow. That's a pretty cool one.
It's the hard way of doing things, and I understand that. But
it's a good thumb workout, though, right?
If that's what you want to call it, sure. And then the other one I would say is I'm really good at that little water bottle toss thing that like everybody was doing when we were in college, where you like have half the bottle left, you flip it,
and it lands.
I'm good at it, but for no reason.
Okay.
Most useless skill ever.
High school cafeterias, you must have been a king.
Yeah, not all heroes wear capes, so basically a celebrity if you can do that when you're 16, right?
True.
Yeah, great question of the day. I like that.
I love how that somehow measured success. It was someone's ability to nonchalantly toss a water bottle and have it land upright.
I think I don't know why. I feel like there was some like talking about Vine. Talking about
Probably.
Vine, I'm showing my age here.
Yeah.
I feel like there was some Vine where that went big, and when we were like 15, 16, 17, like that became a thing because of some Vine. I could be wrong. Maybe I sound stupid, and it's been around since our parents were,
I don't
in.
know. I mean, like I remember like when that happened, like the cafeteria in high school, it was like nonstop all the time. Like they had to come in and be like, okay, you guys got to like knock this stuff off because
Yeah.
it just escalates.
Speaking of water bottles, and this is just a curious question, how much water do you drink a day? Are you like a big
So when I was in high school, I was a gallon a day guy.
right? Because you're swimming
Now,
and shit.
right. So, and now, I'm probably still close to that, especially because I'm working remote. So I'm sitting at my desk all day. So I'm constantly drinking, whether it's like, bad radio, one of these, like the carbonated sparkling ones, or whether it's just I have like a mini fridge and a Brita right next to me. So
Hmm.
I think I refill that Brita like twice a day.
Yeah, dude. I guzzle water,
Yeah.
and not because like I would not consider myself a super active person, but I feel like I have some like sodium cell dehydration disorder or something. I don't know why. I pound water, and it's kind of scary. I like people actually ask me if I have a problem.
Well, I think it's like when I was working in an office, I would
Yeah.
do it because then
Oh yeah,
like
you get to get up,
you get
walk
to get
around.
up, walk to fill it up, walk to go to the bathroom, which was always nice. Now it's like anything to get out of my desk, like anything to get out of my chair, like in my house and walk around is welcomed. So,
It's also a little bit of a nervous twitch for me. I'll self admit that.
yeah, I also think it's something to do while I'm working. It keeps me focused. I don't know.
Yeah,
Pick one.
I'm a fidgety guy. I need like,
Yeah,
you're sipping something, you're chewing something,
right. Plus,
something of that
especially you're a
nature.
coffee guy, right?
Yeah, I've been trying to lay off because it completely obliterates my stomach, and I can feel it like dry me out.
Like dehydrating you. That's
Yeah,
probably why you drink a lot of water too.
yeah. I mean, I can quite literally, when I drink like black coffee, which is usually how I have it, I can feel my throat like dry up, and I can't stand that. I can also feel my butt explode, but that's in a whole other
Yep,
story. So.
that definitely happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was talking water and nutrition with Nick and Harrison, but we're going to move on to hockey related things. But before we do, we're going to talk about Brackish Life. If you're like us and grew up on the water and outdoors, then Brackish Life is perfect for you. They have a wide selection of gear from UV shirts to hoodies and hats. It's Real Bay apparel made by Real Bay people. Head to www.brackish.life today to check them out. A little salty, a little fresh, Brackish Life. Brackish Life has also teamed up with Rink to Reef Chesapeake Bay to preserve the area many of us call home. Rink to Reef repurposes broken hockey sticks into oyster restoration habitats. Brackish Life donates a portion of their proceeds to Rink to Reef to further preserve the beautiful Chesapeake Bay area. Support this great cause by checking out www.brackish.life today. When we, on our next ad read, you have to remind me of some funny stories over my bender of a weekend. So,
I have a couple messages for you from the sponsor, but I'll save that for the next one.
all right, let's go. That's good. I'll toss it off to you for the league news.
Yeah, some feel good news to start. Oscar Lindblom of the Flyers won the Masterton Trophy, which is awarded annually to the player who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. Of course, as you guys all remember, Lindblom was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, a rare form of bone cancer, back in 2019. So it's great to see him get recognized for all that he's overcome in the last couple of years. Jason Spezza, another good guy alert. Signed a 1-year league minimum contract with the Leafs for $750,000. Spezza had 5 points, 3 goals, and 2 apples in the Stanley Cup first round, which was, of course, that loss to the Habs. After signing the league minimum, he said, and I quote, "I would take less money if I could."
Yeah, I saw his interview. He seems just like a genuinely good dude. And he said, like, I would take less if I could. I know where the team stands and what they're trying to do and the timeline in which they're trying to do it. So, you gotta tip your hat to a player who has been along as round as him, virtually has zero ego and knows where, the team is trying to take things. And I saw a tweet that was really funny. It was like, if you would have told me in 2015 that in 2021 most favorite player in Leafs Nation would be the biggest Ottawa Senators legend in history, I would have said you're fucking crazy. He goes, but here we are.
Yep, exactly.
So
I think it's worth noting that 11 Toronto players are eligible to become UFAs on July 28th. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, we could have a whole segment alone on rumors this episode, but I just feel like there's no use really doing that. We'll get to all the trades when that eventually happens.
When it happens, it's just all, it's the usual stuff right now. It's just all speculation.
Yeah.
Rick Tocchet, your boy, is on the Seattle Kraken shortlist for their head coaching vacancy. The former Yotes bench boss is a finalist to become the Kraken's first ever head coach from Elliot Friedman. I think at this point, you would say heavy favorite with Gallant being taken by the Rangers. I think this guy's got to be the front runner.
Yeah, and with Brendan Moore getting re-upped to a 3-year deal in Carolina, I would say Tocchet definitely should be the guy. I think he'll be a great coach there. I don't think Arizona is a tough organization to have success in. They've never had it, and it's going to take a true number one draft pick who's going to be the center of that franchise to really get it going. So I don't really blame Talk for what happened in the desert. So
you can't. Just all the issues going on with that team, it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, I think Seattle will be a good fit for him.
Yeah, I think it would be, players guys seem to enjoy playing for him, and he seems to know how to get the best out of them. And I feel like that's what you want with a new team.
Yeah, I was going to say, he seems like that guy who really caters towards those, second and third liners that aren't like the star names, but they're the middle tier guys.
Yep, definitely.
Just from what I saw from him in Pittsburgh, and that's entirely what Seattle's roster is going to look like. So I think that's a match made in heaven, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Alexander Barkov won the Selke Trophy as the league's top defensive forward. Barkov bested 90s movie serial killer lookalike Mark Stone of the Vegas Golden Knights and Patrice Bergeron of the Bruins, who were the other finalists. I feel like it's weird anytime Bergeron doesn't win this award, in my opinion, just because, I don't know, he's won it every year that I've been alive and he's been in the league. So,
yeah.
But yeah, good to see Barkov get some recognition.
So are they not, and maybe I'm slow, are they not doing a award ceremony? I mean, did COVID cancel that? Like, are they're not?
I guess so. I don't really know. Or they were going to do it virtually, and that was just going to be pointless, in my opinion. But
yeah, I agree.
Another trophy, Jacob Slavin becomes the fourth defenseman ever to win the Lady Byng Trophy. That award is given to the player adjudged to have exhibited the best type of sportsmanship and gentlemanly conduct combined with a high standard of playing ability. I don't know if you could make that any more complicated other than saying that it's a good player who's good. Yeah. Brian Campbell's the last defenseman to do it back in 2012. Red Kelly did it 3 times. And the new greatest hockey name of all time from 1949, Bill Quackenbush, also won the trophy. That's
oh man.
Like, is this NHL record books or is this Looney Tunes? I'm confused because
yeah, no, Quackenbush is quite the name. But
that's incredible.
I think penalty minutes plays a role in this. I know it's like something where it's your production compared to some type of like penalty minute ratio. And usually, defensemen, they're obviously defending the goal. I feel like defensemen are more prone to take penalties than forwards are. So
yes,
I think that's why you haven't seen as many defensemen be up for it in recent memory.
Absolutely. You mentioned Rod Brindamore earlier. He won the Jack Adams Award as the league's best coach, and also got a 3-year contract extension after guiding Carolina to their first division title since 05-06. And I think we all know what happened that year. So, yeah, good for him. Good to see him get some recognition. The Islanders, I mean, they've been all over the New York sports media, and I feel like they're kind of like the redheaded stepchild of it sometimes. So good for them. But they just sold out their season tickets for their new arena next year, UBS Arena, which is under construction right next to the Belmont racetrack and is expected to open in November with a capacity around 17,000 people for hockey.
How's that work?
I don't know.
So what are they doing in October when the season starts?
I guess Barclays.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
This
Or the
fucking
Coliseum again.
this fucking organization, I swear,
Yeah.
unless the season starts in November, which I don't know if they've confirmed yet or not. I'm pretty
I
sure
think they're still shooting for October
yeah, I was gonna say I think they're trying to
because
do
we're
like
sort of like we're ending at like that June time anyways, but
yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I read like they're going back to normal October to June 82 game season, which by the way, there's been a lot of talk online about whether they should be bringing back the 82 game season or not. I think that's something that we can hold off on talking about for right now, but
yeah.
we could probably give some opinions later on that.
Yeah, I've got some thoughts.
Yeah.
Want to say a big congratulations to our boys down south. The South Carolina Stingrays have advanced to the ECHL's Kelly Cup final. They won their series 3-1 and await the winner of the Allen Americans and Fort Wayne Comets. The Stingrays advanced to the finals for the 6th time, extending their league record. South Carolina's 3 championships in 97, 2001, and 2009 are tied with Alaska and Hampton Roads for the most in league history. So just wanted to say congrats to the boys. You know, Tarek, Dan, awesome job, guys. Keep it up.
DeSalvo and Tarek
Ripping it up.
Yeah, we're wishing you guys the best of luck. If you have any access to free tickets, let us know, and we'll more than likely
We will fly down in a heartbeat. I
we'll
will
come
be
down there. We'll come
Yeah.
down there and hang. We can
Yeah.
finally get that golf in after
Exactly.
we celebrate your guys' championship. So
Yeah.
congrats to those two guys. We do appreciate them coming on the show, and good luck to the rest of the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this next segment,
You found this, and I love this.
yeah, I thought this was worthy of being on the pod. So every year, the Players Union or Players Association does a poll amongst the league, and they get votes on all sorts of quirky shit. And in this instance, we always have the awards votes and all that shit, but they did some stuff that I thought was pretty interesting. So this is basically just winning an accolade, for quirky stuff around the NHL. Some of
It's like your high school
important.
superlatives.
Yeah, basically. That was a really good way of shortening my English there. So thank
I
you.
gotcha.
So first off, we got the most complete player. Bergeron and Sidney Crosby were tied exactly. I believe is at like 38.49% on both of them. So those two guys, as voted on by the league, are the 2 most complete players in the game. Apparently, any thoughts on that?
Not surprised.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either.
The league just jerks themselves off for Canadian guys that are good 200-foot players.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is voted on by the players, but I think a little bit of it is probably like, league hype up, like, oh, like, we got Sid and Bergie, and I kind of get that. But
Yeah.
Best shot, we got Ovechkin.
Not surprised.
Still got it.
Yep.
I was not surprised. Matthews was not far behind. I didn't know who was going to take the cake on that one. It was pretty close. Best passer, Nick Backstrom.
Good. Finally. I'm glad someone else said it.
Yeah, finally getting some recognition. I think, he's always been one of those guys. We've said it 1,000 times. The media has said it 1,000 times. Nobody ever gives him love or credit.
Right.
So
Only ever been nominated to 1 All-Star team. It's such a joke.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's actually insane. Tristan Jarry's been nominated to an All-Star team. So
he has the same amount.
Best goal scorer. We got Austin Matthews as
I think that's fair if we're going after this season. I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, I'd say after what he did this past season, that's probably on par. And then best defenseman, we got Victor Hedman with Roman Josi coming in a close second. Thoughts?
I can live with that. Hedman's probably the best defenseman in the league, and I'm okay with that.
Carlson, I think, finished 5th in voting for that.
Not surprised.
Cap's still getting some love. The player you want to win one game, McDavid wins that one. I guess that's a no-brainer. I mean,
it's him or McKinnon in my opinion right now. Like the way that they elevate their game in the spotlight. Well, I guess more McKinnon than McDavid, not to rip on the guy, but
so I'm going to be honest with you. I was kind of surprised by this, and here's why. I figured most complete player would be like the McDavid McKinnon showdown, and just because, like, yeah, I get Sid and Bergie are good defensively, but like, come on. And then the win one game I thought would be Bergie Sid just because of like the Olympic.
You could make an
pedigrees,
argument either way, but
the cups, all
right.
that. But I mean, no, I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. The best style off the ice, we got Austin Matthews, which I guess makes sense. You know, he's kind of got that like hype beast kind of trend going for him.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's been on the cover of GQ, right? Or has
Yeah.
been in GQ, either one. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Best dangles, Patrick Kane, number one. Connor McDavid at a close second, but I personally believe Patty Kane is very deserving of this above everybody else.
100%. Yeah, I would say definitely over McDavid.
Yeah. And then we got best tape job, like, well, I should say unique tape job. And this one obviously goes to Pasternak.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think, and I'm going to butcher his name, Tim Stutzla.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Well done.
I think he's got to be up there too. Have you ever seen that thing?
Yeah, it's sort of like Panarin's, but it's got like the thing going across the bottom and stuff.
Yeah, it's whack.
Yeah.
It's whack. And his handle is like goes halfway down the shaft.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. So just some cool little superlatives that I thought would be worthy of informing you all on, because these things were kind of hard to find on Twitter. I'm not going to lie. Great job, NHL, at advertising. So.
All right. Well, before we recap some series, we just wanted to take some time to remind you all that summer is here and there has never been a better time to get out on the water. Are you looking to finance that new boat or yacht you've always dreamed of? The Yacht Lender is a specialist in marine finance. With partnerships with 15 different banks, he has the right lender for whatever vessel you may be in the market for. Backed by Trident Funding with over 25 years as an industry leader, Marty Huff, the Yacht Lender, has the expertise and know-how to finance the boat of your dreams. Don't wait. Apply today at yachtlender.com or check him out on Instagram at yachtlender to see others who have already gotten out on the water. Now, I understand you and our sponsor had a good time this weekend. Would you care to elaborate on that situation?
So our fellow guest who's been on the show in the past, Rangers mega fan Mark Cordero, came down to Baltimore to be in town with us. And so first off, I just want to say, every time you read that, you have a smile on your face, which is
I can't not read it without a smile on my face,
which is so funny to me. So I guess like our friend group, you know, me, Marty, Mark, some other guys, they did not know that Marty was sponsoring the podcast. And, you know, what I think when we released the Zach Jones episode, they saw the template that said Yacht Lender and they were like, yo, what? And I was like, well, you know, he offered, like, you know, Fritz the mortgage was, God love him, still love him. His company was like, you know, paying for it. So they don't have budget. We understand. So now Marty's doing the same thing. And my friends, ran with it. So instead of listening to music before we would go out, we would have on the giant Sonos bar on 100 volume, me reading the ad read with us going before we would go out or go to like our restaurant or whatever.
That's awesome.
They must have played that shit 80 times. I'm not even exaggerating that. It was just nonstop. Like every 5 minutes, it's like speaking of putting a boat on the water. And
oh my God.
So it was a lot. It kept going over and over again. And then they obviously had to put it on, you know, the 75-inch TV that's hung on the wall. You know, they put up the EB YouTube video and watch them read it. And everybody's just dying laughing because your face is just smirking the whole time. and then the best part is, you know, not my friends don't know Mac personally, but when Mac goes, Marty Huff, man, that's an A+ name. And
that was phenomenal.
They just start spitting out their water, which I think is the funniest thing. On, what was it, Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. We had a day. We went out to Nick's Fish House in Baltimore, one of my favorite places to eat.
Great spot.
Yeah. So we were out there for lunch, and Mark, fellow guest, old guest, was real big on the Lightning, really big. You know, and when someone has that gut feeling where you can't talk them out of it, it's contagious, right? So we're sitting there and we're eating lunch, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm doing it." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." Won't say the amount, but hefty wager. Like you would be like, "Okay, he's coming to play today," and triple digits at least. And so I follow suit. I'm like, all right, I'm in. Like, you've sold me, right? And I talked myself into it. I was like, the Lightning are the better team. This is going into game 4, by the way. The Lightning are the better team. Vasilevsky's in net. He's going to steal the game. Vasi hasn't really like stolen a game yet. Like, come on, he's going to do it. So we all like at lunch put the money on the Lightning. We go to my buddy Cam's house later that night, and this shit-eating grin on Yachtlander's face starts going like this. Like when they start singing the national anthem. And we're like, what? And he just gets up and he's screaming. He's like, they're not going to lose. And I was like, why are you rooting for them? He's like, I bet the Islanders. Whole house bets the Lightning, except for him and like 2 other guys. So it's like 6 guys rooting for the Lightning with like triple-digit wagers. And then Yachtlander and his bitch ass over on the other side with like 2 other people who bet the Islanders. And this house was more exciting than being at the game itself. It was constant banter, screaming, yelling, chants, everything, you name it. Well, sure as shit, Yachtlander ended up winning his bet. The Islanders took game 4, and I was infuriated. And I think me and him kind of had some words via text that you were on afterwards.
I was thrilled to be a part of that 3-person group chat while I was asleep and you guys were yelling at each other.
Yeah, so that kind of happened, but it was a good weekend, and he's very proud to be sponsoring the podcast. But yeah, they played your ad read about 75 times over the weekend.
Well, that's good. At least we're getting him the airtime. He did ask me to remind you that he now officially knows more about hockey than you.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So you were so adamant about that, and Mac and I took the Islanders.
I know.
I just had that feeling. I was like, I don't know. They're gonna do it. They're at home. They're at the Coliseum. But I mean, oh my God, did they fucking make it close?
They did, and we'll get into that game 4 in a little bit. The one thing I will say, Mark had there's some website he uses where you can track like where the money is going, and it was.
Is it Action?
I don't know.
It
might be.
Okay, that's a good one.
I was a couple orange crushes deep, so I wasn't really paying attention. But he showed me, and it was like 70% of the money was going on the Isles, which in a conference finals game when you're playing against the Tampa Bay Lightning, I mean that's crazy.
A lot.
That's a lot. So I was like, all right, big fade the public guy today. Like we'll see what happens. That didn't work in my favor. We were 1 game too early apparently. So
the last thing I'll say about this is I know what you're saying when you're like, when someone gets that feeling in their gut that they're that adamant, but my reaction whenever someone is like that is to do the exact opposite.
That's what fucking Marty said.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Can't stand that kid. Gonna take off his sponsorship.
Yeah, well, no, you're not, because he's paying us. So
all righty. Well, I just enough of my weekend shenanigans. I could go on forever about that. Oh, wait, one last thing. So I want to give a shout out to a new fan of the program.
Oh yeah.
Name is Nick. He went to Towson, played lacrosse. Yeah, like you.
Yeah.
He bought a shirt on the spot when I told him about the podcast. Big Rangers fan. You know how you can tell when there's Rangers fans? You just look for the 2 kids yelling at each other about the same team that they like. And then
I was going to say, or
are.
you wait for like a 12-year-old to walk by in an opposing team's jersey while they verbally assault him and then like take his lunch money and throw him down the stairs or something. But yeah, that one works too.
Yeah, dude. I think Nick said something like about Brendan Smith, because we were talking about the Tom Wilson fight, and he was like, Brendan Smith should be the captain of the team. Like he obviously had a few, and then Mark was like, "What the fuck you talking?" Like, and it just like complete screaming, not even like civilized, like at each other.
Yeah.
I'm like, you root for the same team.
It's just, and then it's just noise. All you're like, it gets to a point where like, this is no longer a conversation. It's just people yelling at, like, not even, it's just over each other.
Yeah, 100%. But I do want to give a shout out to him because he did buy an Endless Summer t-shirt.
He did.
On the spot. And he followed us, listened to the pod, loved the Zach Jones interview. So I appreciate you, Nick. Thank you very much. That's it. That's all I got.
Always love new fans. I hope you didn't scare them away by playing my ad read only 8 billion times. So, so let's get into these recaps. So, First, before we get started, have you seen the nickname for not the Tampa New York series, but the Montreal Vegas series? They're calling it the
Stripper Capital.
the strip club series, which is
Yeah.
hysterical.
Yeah, I do think it's pretty funny.
I was trying to think of one for Tampa and the Islanders. I was going to just say the Battle of New York, because let's be real, half the Rangers are now Lightning and everyone from the Northeast moves to Florida. So
Yeah.
yeah.
The Snowbird series.
Exactly. There we go. There's a bunch to catch up on with this series. We have 4 games to touch on. Game 2, the Islanders take game 1. We talked about that last time with you guys. Kucherov helps the Lightning even the series with that game 2 win. Had his 4th game with 3 or more points on this postseason, assisting on goals by Point, Palat, and Hedman. Shocker. Brock Nelson and Barzal scored for the Islanders. Officiating was a big issue in this game. The Palat goal was scored with 7 skaters on the ice. And if you actually go back and look, it's like they said 6, but it's really 7.
Was that the game that Barzal got, I think it was Barzal, I can't remember. Someone on the Lightning hit Barzal. It was the bad goal interference call. I actually can't remember.
It was. So it was called, Braden Point got called for goalie interference after Adam Pelech just sent him into Varley.
Right. That was the same game.
That was the same game.
Okay,
those were about like 10 minutes apart, I think.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure like people were throwing their arms up about that Lightning goal where there were 7 guys on the ice, but it was also like,
if the officiating is going to be bad, you want it to be bad both ways. And fortunately, this time it was. But it remains the central theme of this year's playoffs. I think it just seems worse this year.
I don't know, man. I get really like, listen, I just don't like the complaining online. Like people will be like, officiating.
Oh, I don't either. I hate the people that go the refs blew this series. And I know I had criticisms for them after the Caps Bruins series, but it's ultimately it's down on the players and the team.
Well, the problem is that you've got all these like, and I'll call them suits for lack of a better term. All these guys who are on like TSN and Sportsnet are like, we need to be questioning if game managing is still the proper method and we should be playing by the rule book, a penalty is a penalty. Do you understand how many people would be fucking complaining at the ass all the time if they called every penalty like they should in the rule book? Because I guarantee you the games would not be as even as they currently are.
No, so as much as you know how many referees they would have to put on the ice to make sure they called every penalty, they'd have to triple the staff.
Look, game managing, I'm a big proponent of it. I think it works. I think it's good. I think, it gives you the most competitive game possible. All people are bitching about is the consistency. Right.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. But let's be perfectly honest here. Like both series are going at least 6 games. So, yeah. I mean, it's not like the officiating is going completely one way where it's so lopsided that the series aren't even competitive. And this is the first time in like 8 years where the conference finals, the semifinals, the Final Four have both gone at least 6 games.
So, yeah, that's a great point. And it's not like a blunder. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It's not like there's been like an officiating blunder that's led to like an overtime goal. Like the one that always comes to mind is the Erik Karlsson hand pass situation from like 2 or 3 years ago.
No, and I'm trying to think. I can't really think of one like that. No, but I'm just sick of tired of hearing about people complaining about the refs and shit. It's like, look, both teams are probably going to get 2 to 3 power plays a game.
Right.
And that's that. So shut the fuck up and move on.
Yeah, moving on to game 3, Tampa squeaks out a 2-1 win at the Coliseum. Point scores in his 6th straight game. Another questionable interference call on Pelech in the second period led to the game-winning goal for Tampa. Both goalies were fantastic in this one, absolutely stood on their heads. And for the most part, Tampa was in control the way they like it. And sort of just, clogged up the Islanders and, served them a plate of what the Islanders are serving to everyone else.
They islandered the Islanders.
Yeah.
And that was the first game back at the Collie. The atmosphere was rocking. But to be honest with you, this is how Tampa played well. I was like borderline asleep in that first period. It was so boring.
Yeah.
Just because neutral zone trap, like D's not pinching. There's no
it's like watching Virginia play like college basketball. It's just so boring.
Right. Exactly. It's all fundamentals.
Right.
So
we go to game 4. Matt Martin caps off a 3-goal second period explosion from the Islanders, who go up 3-0. Tampa starts to get 2 back in the third period. And then Ryan Pulock makes the save of the playoffs after Ryan McDonough pulls Varlamov out of position with time expiring and throws the puck towards the net. The dude just, went into street hockey mode and just ate the thing.
Yeah, that was a sick block.
Yeah, and that was the game we were referencing, of course, that we all had money on, and I was, out of my seat, like, I was like, oh no, don't, like, this can't be how it happens, like,
Right?
because you knew if they tied the game like that,
they were gonna win it.
It's over.
Yeah, they were gonna win it.
Braden Point scored for the 7th straight game. Tyler Johnson also scored for the defending champs, and Vasi finishes with 27 saves.
Just a great hockey game.
It was a great hockey game to watch. The Islanders explode, Tampa claws it back and makes the third period exciting. I mean, they had that game within 1 goal with 15 minutes to go in the third.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, they're going to get 2 more, and it's going to be 4-3.
That was the first game since game 1, I guess you could argue maybe, but that was the first game where I really felt the Islanders get physical. When they played Pittsburgh, and remind me, series 2, I'm blanking. Who did play? I'm blanking. Boston. They were physical. They beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And I haven't really seen Clutterbuck or Matt Martin get that into it, since game 1 until then. So it was good to see that they were kind of getting the troops rallied and trying to turn the momentum. And they're definitely going to need that for tomorrow night's game 6.
Yeah.
But then last night, game 5, where, max overtime bar and grill, we're predicting overtime because, I feel like a series has to have 1 overtime game. It's just the nature of the beast. And wow, the Bolts put up a touchdown and a 2-point conversion and shut out the Islanders and win the game 8-0.
Yeah, it just ass blasted them. I mean,
the second that first goal went in, I think I texted you guys this. I was like, the floodgates are open. Because the way that went in, the bounce off of Pellick or Pollock, can't remember which one, right back to Stammer, a minute in, Tampa's at home. I was like, this is not going to go well.
Well, when they had 3 in the first period, I was like, this is, if the Islanders don't get the next one, it's toast. It's just over.
It was, that first period was actually assault. So.
Yeah.
And then Braden Point scored for his 8th straight game.
8 games in a row. This is ridiculous.
That is now the second longest postseason goal streak in NHL history. I believe the record is 9. I have to check that. Do
you know who has it? I would just assume 99 has it, but
give me a second.
Yeah. Yeah, that game last night was just bonkers. We referenced this at the beginning of the show. It's so uncharacteristic for the series to be one-sided either way. I sort of thought we were getting our first taste of that in game 4 when the Isles jumped out to a 3-0 lead. I was like, okay, we haven't seen this yet. And then lo and behold, that one ends up being a 1-goal game going down the stretch. But I think there's some big questions to look at for both teams coming out of this game 5. 3 of the 8 goals for Tampa Bay were power play markers, so just keep that in mind. Varley was shelled after giving up 3 on 13, replaced by Sorokin, who gave up 5 on 19. And he also took a puck to the neck during the game, but toughed it out. My question to you is, how do the Islanders get momentum back? Because they had it all, and then a loss like this, it's bad, but it is just 1 loss.
It doesn't matter to be honest with you, I'd rather lose like that than 3-2 in overtime and try to come back in game 6 and get it
double
going.
Or triple overtime or something like that, where you're playing an extra game.
I think this gives them the juice that they need to push this thing 7. Now, in terms of swinging the momentum back, I'm going to repeat it. They need to beat the shit out of the Lightning. I mean, the Lightning are no soft team. Don't get me wrong. They got a pretty solid squad who's scrappy and can fight. You got big bodies in the back like Shen. Shen was in there last night. He can chuck them. Killorn's a big body. He can chuck them. Maroon. So you got these guys, but Clutter, and I'm going to cringe when I say this because I can't stand this name. The identity line needs to really pump them. All over the D on the forecheck, get all those rowdy New York shitbags screaming left and right. You gotta get the collie. Those first 5 minutes in tomorrow's game are huge.
They're going to be electric.
It doesn't even matter if the Isles score in the first 5. They just need to set the tone and not let the Lightning score.
They need to stay out of the box.
Well, that's the thing.
You can't give that power play any looks at all.
I think Tampa going into this series, I have no idea what it's at now. Tampa's power play in the postseason was clicking at like 40%, which is
Yeah,
like the all-time record, I'm pretty sure.
that's just
So you can't give them any time. And with the way Stamkos looked yesterday, he seems to have found his groove.
yeah.
So I do think that what the Islanders need to do, that third and fourth line need to start throwing the weight around. And one guy who I've been a little disappointed by, Bavillier. I mean, I've
Not
kind of
as like explosive, I think, as
or
he has been in series past, because like you go back to the
yeah.
series against the Caps a couple years ago, he was probably the best player on either team.
Yeah, he's a timely guy. He scores those timely goals. He's always got that, like, we talk about Eberle scoring big goals. We talk about, Braden Point scoring every like overtime or something.
Sorelli, same thing.
Sorelli, this kid Bavillier, I mean, he's always seems to get that, like, big insurance marker or that one goal that brings them to within one. I want to see something big out of him in Game 6. By the way, I do have the stat here. So the all-time playoff goal streak record is held by Reggie Leach of the Philadelphia Flyers
Wow.
in the 1976 season. He scored in 10 straight games.
I would have never guessed him. I don't know why.
Braden Point is now number 2 all-time in the streak with 8 games, and he just surpassed Jean Beliveau of the Montreal Canadiens. Not bad.
Yeah.
Beliveau had 7, Points at 8, and if he can get to 10, he'll tie the all-time record with Reggie Leach at 10.
Yeah. Beliveau and Leach were probably also playing less games in the playoffs too, so that's pretty damn impressive.
Yes. Yes.
All right, well, let's get into the strip club series. We have a lot to cover since we last spoke about the Knights and the Habs. So we have this game 2. Price makes 29 saves, and the Habs beat the Knights 3-2 to tie that series at a game apiece. Paul Byron, Yoel Armia, and Tyler Toffoli score for Montreal. Byron making it 3-0 with 2:45 to go in the second period. This was the first game that John Merrill and Jeff Petrie drew back into the lineup, and I thought they did a great job. They made solid contributions. Pietrangelo scores twice for Vegas, and Flower makes 20 saves as the Knights fall 3-2 to the Habs. The following game, Josh Anderson scored his second goal of the game in overtime, and Carey Price makes 43 saves as the Habs go on to beat the Knights 3-2 again for a 2-1 lead in the series. Caulfield also scored for Montreal in front of 3,500 fans at the Bell Center. It is the biggest crime in sports that this building is not packed.
I do want to note that game when Cole Caulfield scored, I believe his odds to score a goal were plus 600.
They were.
Props to anybody who had that for Mr. Goal Caulfield.
He's almost automatic on a breakaway, man. I didn't realize he was that like consistent with it.
Yeah, he's a shifty little guy, and he's got a
quick hands.
He's got a hell of a snapshot too. So
yeah. Nicolas Waugh and Alex Pietrangelo score for Vegas. Flower finishes with 24 stops and 1 assist on Anderson's tying goal late in regulation. Controversial decision going into the following game, game 4, where after, turning over the puck in front of the net, which causes a goal, Vegas goes with Lehner instead of Flower. What were your thoughts on that?
I saw a lot of people weren't really big on that, but and let me preface my statement. I don't think that game 3, it was Fleury's fault, but like, I don't think Fleury was deserving to be pulled. But that being said, I like the idea of the pull because it's less about who's in net, in my opinion, because Lehner's a solid backup. I mean, he's right there.
They have the best tandem in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it's less about who's in net, and it's more about like, okay, I'm pulling my goalie to galvanize my team and get some fucking juice in their veins.
Yeah.
And DeBoer is no stranger to it. He's done it already once, so why not do it again? And it works. So obviously game 4, Vegas gets the win with Lehner in net. He stopped 27 shots and looked pretty good in my opinion. So I think it's less about Fleury's play and more so just trying to get his team a jump start in game 4. Because if they go down 3-1, all of a sudden that's not looking good.
Yeah, 3-1 and 2-2 are complete opposite ends of the spectrum. I think the big thing you have to say is, well, they won the game, so clearly it was the right decision.
Right.
You know,
I think Lehner's going to start Game 5 tonight too. I believe. So,
Wow.
I mean, I would. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But
Right.
in terms of Fleury, I mean, and I read one of the Penguins beat writers, Jesse Marshall, tweeted about this. So, do you remember in 03 in the World Junior Championship when he
Yep.
fucked
Patrick
up
O'Sullivan. Yep.
Yeah, he fucked up for those who don't know, you can YouTube it, Marc-Andre Fleury 03 or 04 World Championship. He comes out of the net to play the puck, turns it over immediately to Team USA where O'Sullivan buries it.
He like passes it like into his like gear, like into his like chest and pants, and it like goes into the net.
Yes. So, Fleury has told Jesse apparently in the past, he was terrified to play the puck for years after that. Like he would shy away from it at all times. And one of the things that I noticed,
I don't blame him. The kid's probably like 19 years old.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I noticed when in Fleury's time in Pitt, which was, a solid sample size, he's not good at playing the puck. It's just not.
And that was always the book on him. It was make him play the puck.
Right. And so, and Jesse tweeted this the other day after Game 3. He's like, I can't help but think, how Fleury's thinking right now about playing the puck. And I know his history with, battling like the mental trauma of, losing a gold medal game like that. So
for Canada.
So it's just tough to see such a good guy kind of have to go through that. And I don't know if you saw they had a clip from practice the other day.
Yeah, I did see that
of him in practice playing the puck, doing the exact play he was trying to do in Game 3, but doing it successfully in practice, obviously, because there was no one there, and he starts celebrating for himself and trying to make light of it. So just the best guy.
Yeah, the cherry on top of this, and of course I thought of you immediately when this happened, was literally 10 seconds before he did that, Pierre Maguire on the broadcast go, Fleury's been really good about handling the puck in this game, and then boom, next thing you know, puck's in the net.
You thought of me when that happened?
I was like, oh, Harrison's going to love this.
It's the kiss of death. It's fucking Pierre. So, tough Game 3 for the Knights. They're, like Nick said, they were up 2-1 with like a minute left. Fleury flubs the puck. Habs tie it. Habs win it in OT. Bada boom, bada bang.
Yep. Cool for Nick Waugh to get the game-winning goal. He's from that area. He's from right outside of Montreal, and like you could see like they had like his family and friends in the crowd, that's so cool.
He's playing really well. 2 goals in the last 2 games.
Yeah, and I think the Knights have a chance of getting Chandler Stevenson back in the lineup for Game 5. That
would be big for them.
Yeah.
Do you have any Game 5 predictions? Because as it currently stands, I think Vegas is minus, and I'm not joking, I think they're like minus 250 on the money line.
So I texted you guys this last night in our group chat, you and Mac. I would hate, but I genuinely think this is going to happen. Both series are going to go back to, we saw the Lightning pick up that Game 5 win. That series was tied 2-2. I think the Knights are going to pick up Game 5 at home. And I think that they could both teams could close this out in 6, but I don't want that. I want them to both go 7.
Which one do you think has a better chance of going in 7?
I would say Tampa and the Islanders do.
Oh, I was gonna say unpopular opinion. I feel, well, no, I shouldn't say that because I think you're right. I just can't help but think when you get pumped 8-0 and Trotz is your coach, that you're gonna lay an egg in Game 6. It's just it's
not gonna happen.
Now, Game 6, I do think will be a 1-goal game. I don't think that's going to be like
100%.
Like Long Island's going to be like holding their stomach sick till like 2 minutes left in the third.
Yeah.
So I do think that'll be a close one. However, I do think that Montreal just has some type of charisma.
Both those teams, man. I mean, we've said it. I said it 2 episodes ago. You said it last episode. You've said it in the group chat. The Islanders with that team of destiny thing, that goal line save at the end of that game.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
No, could happen.
I agree with you. So you got Vegas Game 5.
I think so.
I think I'm going to go. I don't know why I have a weird feeling that Price is going to just stand on his head tonight.
He could.
No, I know he could, but I do think Vegas is going to win it. It's hard to bet against them in that barn.
Game 5 at home.
Yeah.
Coming off an overtime win when they could have been down 3-1, but now they're tied. I think they got it.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're talking me into it, which means I should probably do the opposite.
Right. So we'll talk to you all next week when Montreal wins this game 10-0. So
yeah, the Stanley Cup Finals are starting, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Let's talk a little bit of Conn Smythe talk. So up to this point in the
Yeah.
playoffs, we've had some standout guys. I'm curious who you would have as your Conn Smythe for each team.
For Tampa, you have to pick Braden Point. I'm sorry, it's not
Yeah,
everyone could go, well, that's the lefty and Hedman and blah, 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 blah. No, it's
Braden Point.
it's Braden Point. If this was the Cup final now, they would have given it to him already.
Yeah, exactly. The goal streak that he's on, he's making history. He's the hottest stick in the world right now, so it's got to be Braden Point.
Yeah, best value in the world too right now. Holy shit. Who do you have for Tampa? You would agree with me. So,
Speaking of value, I just want to interrupt you real quick. The day after Marner signed his
I saw this. This is great.
5-year, $11 million ticket, the Lightning signed Braden Point, very similar players, small, 5'9", right-handed skill guy, first liner. They signed him to I think it was like a 3-year deal for like $5 million.
It's just,
and
if you're Toronto, you gotta be fucking kicking yourself.
Look who's doing what in the playoffs when it really matters.
Yep.
The last 2 postseasons, Braden Point has more goals by a landslide than any other player in the NHL.
Yeah. Marner had how many points against the Habs? Or one. I think
he didn't have a goal.
I know that. For New York, I would say Matt Barzal at this point. I think he's exploded in this postseason. I think this is the best I've seen him play. The best I've seen him play hockey in the postseason. I think, this guy's at the forefront. He's the emerging superstar. I think they would give it to him.
So I'm going to actually switch my pick. I originally had here Pajot because leading up to game like 2-ish, I think I was like, man, Pajot looks really good. He's been playing solid. He's producing. But I feel like in the last 3 games, he's kind of dropped off and Barzal still kind of kept his production high. So I'm going to have to agree with you. I would probably go Barzal.
Yeah. How about for Vegas?
So I originally had Fleury up until that game 3 blunder, and now obviously I can't put him. So if I can't put him, I'm definitely going to put Mark Stone. I think Mark Stone has shut down McKinnon. He's playing lights out, overtime winner this series. So I think he's going to have to, or in Colorado series, I'm sorry. So I think he's going to have to be my pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think a dark horse for this could be Pietrangelo.
I would agree with you. I think that's a solid one.
He's scored, I think, like 3 goals so far this series.
I do also want to add, just speaking of Pietrangelo and Vegas's decor, I do have to give a shout out to Braden McNabb. Holy shit, he looks very good, and he is throwing it around. Some monstrous hits. So some monstrous hits so far in this postseason. So good for him.
And I think the biggest thing is he's very effective right now. Yeah. Just running people over, clogging up lanes and stuff. He's playing some really, really good hockey. For Montreal, I feel like this is kind of a no-brainer. You could talk about a couple other guys, maybe. You have the young guys. You have Caulfield. You have Suzuki. But Carey Price.
Oh, yeah, it's Carey Price. I do think one dark horse would be Tyler Toffoli if they were to go all the way.
I think that's a good dark horse for that.
He's played really well, and I believe he's their leading point scorer in the playoffs so far. So he's got 12 points in 15 games played so far. That's pretty damn good, 5 of those being goals. I think up until this Vegas series, he was on like a 7-game point streak or something crazy. So
yeah. I saw some people online saying Josh Anderson, which I guess, recency bias, maybe you could start to put his name in the conversation, but I think I would still put Toffoli ahead of him on that short list.
Yeah, I think Price is easily number 1.
Price is easily number 1. I think if they make the Cup final, Price has a chance to win the Conn Smythe, even if they lose the Cup.
Wow. That's
which you don't see that often. And usually if it happens, it is a goalie.
He would have to steal virtually every game from here on out for that to happen. But yeah, that's our Conn Smythe predictions. Do you have anything else to add? We're pretty much wrapping up here at this point.
I don't think I have anything else. Oh, I tell you about my successful outing with my car? I took it out of the neighborhood for the first time. First round trip I've taken in it successfully without the aid of a tow truck. So my girlfriend and I took the Jag over to Lone Oak Beer Farm, which is about 5 or 10 minutes from my parents' house. Great little beer farm in Olney. And I shouldn't say little because the place is freaking enormous. They have a ton of land. some like, 200-year-old oak tree, and it's just beautiful. Beer's great. I know you've been to there's like 4 beer farms within 15 minutes of me. I know you've been to one of them. They're a ton of fun.
Yeah, I can't remember the one I went to, but it was very nice. To me, it's more of like a September, October, November thing.
Yeah.
You kind of get a little warmer. The pumpkins are out. Like you
Yeah.
get more of a fall feel to it. But I would imagine in the summer it's maybe a little less crowded.
Dude, we went. This was a Wednesday, and we pull up at like 5:30, and 108 is just jammed up trying to get into this place. There was like 600 people there, like probably close to 400 cars in the parking lot. And so we roll up, and I'm like, oh no. And I just see this line of cars like stacked up out of like the turn in going back down the road. And I'm like, this is not what I want right now. I just want to get this car in there, put it in park, get the top back up, and let this thing cool down. Because in the 10 minutes it took to get over there, it got quite warm.
Oh,
and
no.
now I'm sitting still, and there's no air going into the hood.
How far can you take this thing realistically? Like
to the beer farm and home.
That's it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is there any way to like help
I can like, yeah, it's like, money. But
fair.
I could probably take it anywhere that doesn't require me to sit over like 70 miles an hour for like an hour at a time. So just avoid highway kind of thing. And so my girlfriend and I are sitting there. She can tell that I'm starting to get stressed out about it. Like, this line is not moving. We're like 4 cars deep before we even turn into the place. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is happening? They have like a huge parking lot that they've done a great job. Like, they have like an entrance at one end and exit at the other end. So it's not like the same sort of flow to like fuck up traffic. And there's this white Mercedes SUV trying to come out of where everyone is trying to go in. And like, that's the kind of shit I just have no patience for.
Yeah.
And this SUV, I swear to God, she got so close to try and go around my car. Cause of course we meet as now I've turned into the place, but I can't get to any sort of parking spot until this person clears my car and gets out of the way. This much. You could not have put a toothpick between this car and theirs. And I was losing my mind. I was just like,
a cherry red paint job sensitive.
and that's the one part of that car that works well right now, is the exterior is flawless.
Right.
And I'm like sitting there, and Ari was like, your knuckles were about to like pop out of your hands on the steering wheel. And then as soon as they moved, I like zipped out of there, just found a spot all the way at the back under a little bit like of shade, and just put the car in park. And I was like,
the exhale of relief.
The exhale of relief. And then my girlfriend was like, I didn't want to say anything, but I could tell you were upset. And I was like, we were sitting there. I could smell it. You could smell it. I could feel it on my face. It was just, yeah. So that's never ending saga, man.
Not a fun situation to be in.
Glad
it didn't break down though.
It was nice to take it and like go there and back. And, it was definitely turning some heads, which is always nice too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, glad that worked out well for you. It sounded like you had a good weekend.
Yeah.
So, before we get rolling here, we just want to remind you all that the summer merch is available on our store if you haven't checked it out already. The big winner's the Miami Vice shirt. Go check that out if you haven't. I think I posted a story about that on our Insta. My boy Mark was wearing that all weekend, and it looks great. Shirts turned out phenomenal. Material is just perfect. And we just dropped a new shirt. Margarita Max shirts are now available. Yep. Overtime Bar and Grill. Go check it out. A cool little comfort color vibe going to it. So be on the lookout for that on our store.
Thanks to everyone that's already bought stuff. I mean, we really appreciate that.
No, we do. It really does help us. This thing ain't easy to keep running, we promise. So the more money that we can kind of have to help get more resources, the better, because it's not easy.
No, definitely not.
A lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to this, and us two working full-time jobs, Mac working full-time jobs. It's not always the easiest thing to do. So we really do appreciate the support.
Yeah, definitely.
Other than that, I don't have too much to add. I will say just be on the lookout on our social media page because I do think there are going to be some big things coming up on that this week. And other than that, I have nothing. I'm all good.
No, that's it. I'm good.
All right. Well, good luck to everybody in their sports betting this week on the Stanley Cup playoffs. And without further ado,
Class dismissed.